Good evening. President Bongbong Marcos retained several key members of the cabinet following their courtesy resignations. In a palace briefing on Tuesday, June 3, Executive Secretary Lucas Bersamin says Marcos declined the courtesy resignations of several cabinet members. Bersamin says the officials who will retain their posts include Agriculture Secretary Francisco T. Laurel Jr., Education Secretary Sonny Angara, Health Secretary Ted Herbosa, Transportation Secretary Vince Dizon, among others. Bersamin states that Marcos also declined Foreign Affairs Secretary Enrique Manalo's courtesy resignation. This is despite Manalo's appointment as the country's permanent representative to the United Nations. According to Bersamin, there is a need for Manalo to be confirmed before becoming the permanent envoy to the UN. Marcos earlier called for the courtesy resignations of all cabinet secretaries to recalibrate his administration following the results of the May midterm elections. The president cited the need to assess each department's performance in line with the administration's recalibrated priorities. Transportation Secretary Vince Dizon says the suspended Edsa rehabilitation project is expected to cost up to 15 billion pesos. During the Commission on Appointments confirmation hearing on Tuesday, June 3, Dizon says this figure is the estimated cost if the rehabilitation will be conducted until 2027. He also discloses the estimated cost that will be incurred if the project will be finished by 2026.
Nagsabi po ang DPWH ng amount hanggang 2026, end of 2026, ito po ay 8.7 billion. Pero po yung pong mga matitira pa na aabot ng 2027, ang estimate po ng DPWH, ang total po ay aabot ng 15 billion, 15 billion po.
President Bongbong Marcos earlier ordered the postponement of the Edsa rehabilitation for a month. The government initially planned to start the rehabilitation by the end of March, but it was adjusted to April, May, and then June. At Tuesday's hearing, Dizon emphasizes that the postponement does not mean that the Edsa rebuild will be cancelled. According to Dizon, the president cited the need to expedite the project.
So ang sabi niya, imbes na 2 taon, ang gusto po niya 6 na buwan lang. So ang sabi po niya, 1 month, balikan niyo ako ulit with a better way. At tignan natin kung ma-address nito yung mga concerns ng ating mga kababayan. So hindi naman po ibig sabihin canceled, Madam Chair, Your Honor. Pero sabi nga po talaga ng Pangulo, nakinig po siya sa ating mga kababayan for us to find a better way and a faster way.
Hontiveros believes the continued delays in the impeachment trial of Vice President Sara Duterte are obstructions dressed up as protocol. In a video statement released on Tuesday, June 3, Hontiveros notes that the convening of the impeachment court and the start of the trial are expressly mandated by the Constitution. But Hontiveros questions why the process has been delayed for months.
Ngayon lang ako nakakita ng bola na ni-dribble ng 4 na buwan. Kahit naman sa basketball, may shot clock. Convening as an impeachment court and commencing trial is expressly mandated by the Constitution. And yet this process has been delayed and dragged on for 4 long months. In those 4 months, I've been called eager, aggressive, impatient, atat. But the simple truth is this: we are not rushing. In fact, we have been waiting. The Filipino people are waiting, and we believe 4 months is more than enough.
For Hontiveros, the delays are no longer procedural. Despite this, Hontiveros vows that she will fulfill the Senate's duty of demanding accountability through the process of impeachment. She calls on the upper chamber to begin with the process forthwith.
Ngayon lang, these delays are no longer procedural. They are obstructions dressed up as protocol. The impeachment process is a crucial means of demanding accountability exclusively entrusted by the people to the Senate. Hindi ko yan balak talikuran. It's time to follow the rules and start the process forthwith. Enough games. Time to move.
The House of Representatives impeached Duterte in February, but the Senate has yet convened as an impeachment court. The presentation of articles of impeachment was originally scheduled for June 2, but Senate President Teodoro rescheduled it to June 11. He cited the need to pass priority legislation before the 19th Congress adjourns. Defense Secretary Teodoro dismisses questions from a Chinese officer as propaganda during a defense dialogue in Singapore. In a video shared by the Department of National Defense, Senior Colonel Zhang Chi asks Teodoro if the Philippines is concerned a proxy war in Asia may be launched. The Chinese officer cites how the United States is sending more arms to the foreign region and setting up more military bases in the Philippines. Another Chinese officer, Qi Dapeng, also asks Teodoro about the Philippines' current approach to the maritime role over the South China Sea. He asks why the Philippines could not supposedly be like Vietnam and Malaysia in engaging dialogue with China. Teodoro addresses the Chinese officers and calls their questions propaganda spiels in disguise. Teodoro's remark earns applause from the crowd. Teodoro then questions why China continues to deny the Philippines its rights under international law. The Defense Secretary points out how none have condemned the Philippines for standing up against China amid threats to its sovereignty. Teodoro says a dialogue will only be effective with trust, which he says China still has to build. Beijing asserts sovereignty over most of the South China Sea, including much of the West Philippine Sea, but a 2016 arbitral ruling invalidated China's sweeping claims in favor of the Philippines. Social Welfare and Development Secretary Rex Gatchalian is appealing to the public to stop making memes about the woman who crawled out of a sewer. The Department of Social Welfare and Development recently gave 80,000 pesos cash assistance to the woman identified by the alias Rose. The cash assistance is meant for Rose to start a small sari-sari store. The agency gave her assistance following viral photographs of Rose seen crawling out of a sewer in Makati City. Netizens then posted memes on social media, with some joking that they would also crawl out of a sewer to easily get cash assistance. To this, Gatchalian reminds netizens that words can hurt and further cause alarm to vulnerable people. Gatchalian says they will readily accept it if it is the DSWD that is getting criticized for its programs. However, he says he hopes the public will consider the welfare of the victims. The DSWD chief reiterates that the amount given to Rose was based on existing guidelines and assessments conducted by the social worker assigned to her.
Yung 80,000 na yon ay base sa guidelines ng DSWD at sa assessment ng social worker. Yung guidelines, may range yun ng presyo kung ano ang kaya natin ibigay na grant. Yun ang pinakamataas. At ang nag-assess nun ay ang licensed social worker natin. Yung mga guidelines na yan, nakapublish po yan. At I wanna point out na yung babae, si Rose, bigyan natin yun ang pangalan, hindi siya unique. 5,000 na mga pamilyang nakatira sa lansangan o individuals na nakatira sa lansangan ang natulungan ng pag-abot program. Iba-iba ang kanilang natanggap, may iba 80,000, may iba 1,000. Gusto ko i-point 10,000.
You need to know today. I'm Neil Mercado. Follow INQUIRER.net on Facebook, X, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and Reddit. For more stories, visit INQUIRER.net. Good afternoon.